Good morning, everyone. Good evening, and good afternoon to viewers from all walks of life. This is Desmos, and you're welcome to the channel of truth, enlightenment, freedom, and the channel of breaking empaths free. If you are new on this channel, I talk about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. I talk about spirituality, and I talk about personal and self-growth. And if any of that resonates with you, I invite you guys to join us, give us a like, share the video with friends, and even subscribe if you haven't already. And for those that have always been with us, you are welcome back, and I thank you for your love and support. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the tower moment. Now, for the most of you guys who don't know that, the tower moment is that period where everything starts crumbling down. Everything falls down to the ground. Everything breaks down. And tower moments can happen in so many ways. You know, tower moments can happen in an individual's life, in their relationship. It can happen in their families. It can happen in their work environments. It can happen in so many kind of situations. So whenever you experience a breakdown in your life, in your personal life, now you're going through a tower moment. But you see, the thing is, when it comes to narcissistic abuse, narcissists don't know how to build firm foundations when it comes to relationships. They don't know how to build very strong foundations. The only way they can get into a relationship with anybody is just by manipulating their way into their lives. So they don't know an authentic way of coming in, expressing their intentions, you know what I mean, falling in love, you know what I mean, and all these kind of sparks and everything. So normally, most of the times when it comes to narcissists, they end up with people by some kind of, I call them fraudulent. It's like fraudulent relationships. So they'd always end up with people by way of manipulation and by way of lies. So normally when an individual is falling in love with a narcissist, well, eventually, also me personally, I've also thought I was falling in love with the narcissist in the first place. So a lot of individuals, they want to call it love. And guys, I can guarantee you this, that as much as you want to call it love, it is not love, you know what I mean? So most of the times, those individuals, they'll come into your life, they'll buy you the presents, the sex will be amazing, they'll take you to very nice beaches, you know, the trips, the vacations, and everything. A lot of times, when you're building with a narcissist, you will not even know. Little will you know that actually you're building with somebody who is actually not a builder in the first place. So these individuals, they come into somebody's life with particular objectives. They have got particular goals and objectives that they get into relationships. So for them, they never get to relationships because all of a sudden they have met their Romeo or they have met their Juliet or things like that. They will come in usually in a very, very tricky way, and little will you know that actually you're going to end up with somebody who at some point in time is going to crush you down and break you down to the ground. But you see, for the mere fact that you have been building a relationship based on a false foundation, because when we're talking about a relationship that is built on lies and manipulation, that relationship doesn't have a foundation. So most of the times you are building a relationship on foundation of lies, torture, and manipulation, and the things like that. So it's a false foundation. You know what I mean? The only relationship that can last, even then, if it breaks up, it doesn't have to break down the other individual completely, insanely break down an individual. It will sometimes you may build a relationship with a normal individual. Of course, things may also come to an end at some point. Of course, it doesn't always mean that because you met your soulmate, things are not going to end at some point. So things will usually end in relationships. But you see, the problem is with a narcissist, that relationship is going to end up in disaster. So most of the times, the individuals, they end up extremely devastated by those kind of entanglements. So that's why you see, when you have left a narcissist, it's not going to be the same feeling which you will have in the same way when you have left a healthy individual, because you will know sometimes that those individuals, they have been nice to you, they have done all these kind of good things, everything has been okay, but for some reason things haven't worked out, so you guys are broken up. Everybody wants to go their own way. Maybe somebody's traveling to a different country, maybe something is something with their parents or the things like that. But when you're breaking up with a narcissist, that's when you're going to know that actually from the very first time, from the beginning, you have been dating an extremely dangerous individual. Now, the tower moment, normally, comes in at the end. So normally is that moment whereby you have built, and guys, let me tell you something very funny. When you're with those kind of individuals, you are going to build. Guys, let me tell you something. You are going to invest in those entanglements. You are going to invest your energy. You will invest your emotions. You will invest your finances. You will invest everything. You will invest as much as you can to make sure that that entanglement or whatever relationship, situationship, it adds up to something. So you will usually invest a lot in those kind of entanglements. And down the road, as you guys keep on deeper, because like I've told you guys, the narcissists, they come into your life for little particular reasons. You know what I mean? Maybe you're living in a comfortable home, so they need a place to stay. Sometimes you're driving a cool car, so they need to be seen around, cruising around with you in a cool car or things like that. It could be so many things. They always have a reason as to why they get into those kind of relationships. So they never have a genuine reason. So one of the things what will usually happen at the end is, like, victims of narcissistic abuse, they noticed that they are being abused at some point. So they notice that actually it is come to that point whereby they cannot continue with this kind of situationship. So they feel the need to break up. And most of the times, it is the empath who usually comes to that conclusion that they somehow need to break out of that entanglement, because they feel at some point in time that kind of situationship is draining them physically, draining them financially, emotionally, and in each and every single way. So they usually feel they need to stop that relationship. But most of the times it is very difficult, because when you've been with a narcissist and at some point you've been trauma bonded in that relationship, you're thinking about leaving, you're thinking about staying, and then you're weighing both of the things and you don't know, so you're in the middle, you don't know what to do. Most of the times the narcissist, they will know that you're trying to leave them. You know what I mean? They will get that energy that you're trying to break out of that entanglement. So it has happened to me so many times whereby I was threatening to leave the narcissist. You know what I mean? But the narcissist would almost feel that there is this energy that they are not usually getting towards the end of the entanglement. So they will usually notice you're no longer providing with them the same amount of fuel that you provided initially in the beginning. So they will sometimes feel that you want to leave. And that's where most of the times the love bomb usually comes in. They come in a little bit and soften down a little bit and love you, bomb you a bit, because they feel that you're detaching from them. And like I've told you guys always in my videos, it is very difficult for the narcissist to stay alone. So most of the times they try to hang on, they try to cling on themselves to you for as long as it takes. They have got to make sure that by the time you guys break up, they have already got somebody who is going to come in and replace you at some point. So it's kind of the way they operate. You know what I mean? When the tower moment comes, guys, now this is where the video is going to get interesting. When the tower moment comes, let me tell you something. Number one, you're going to see the signs. So the signs of the tower moment usually will be an extremely intensive devaluation process. You are going to be devalued in each and every single way. You are going to break down. No, the narcissist, what will do, they will devalue you in a way you have never seen before, and they will do those things you have never thought about experiencing in your entire life. So most of the times what will happen, the narcissist, they will start devaluing you, because they are not really devaluing you because of a particular reason, but it's like it is that point whereby they have started getting bored. You see, at the end of the day, the narcissists always get bored in those kind of entanglements. So when they start getting bored, that's when they start to devalue you, because they feel you're not. They feel that it's not important for them to carry on with you. So they want to show you at the same time that they cannot carry on with you, but at the same time they cannot let you go. So they are devaluing you in that moment. They are complaining about your body weight. They're complaining about your finances. They're complaining about the way you look, your makeup, the dresses you wear. Even they're complaining about the way you cook, the way you sleep. Maybe sometime in the night they're even accusing you've been snoring in the night, with things like that. So they devalue you in a way that you've never seen before. And most of the times it's very, very painful, because at the end of the day, you've been in love with somebody for some point of time, at least apparently, like we have always believed. But at some point you feel that the devaluation stage is unbearable, and usually you want to leave. Now the tower moment comes in whereby everything starts to break down. That is the moment whereby you see the whole foundation of the home is crumbling down. It's like you don't know what is going on. You're in a total mess. Everything is, it doesn't matter what you do. You can clean the house the best way. If you're a woman out there, you've been cleaning the house regularly, you try to even sometimes do it double than you used to do before. It isn't going to work. They'll always come back and find that little bit of the little part of the house that you haven't cleaned properly, and they will just dwell on that and complain about it. And usually is the devaluation going on. It doesn't matter how much sex you give them, it's not enough. They're always, after the sex, they're going to complain about so many things. So the tower moment comes in that moment whereby you really, really feel the intensity of that entanglement. You feel It is time for you to leave. You don't know how to do it, but you just feel everything is breaking down. And most of the times, it causes a lot of confusion. And usually, the victims do not know what step to take and where to go. But one thing I want to tell you something, guys. Normally, a relationship that has been built on a false foundation, because initially I've told you guys, these relationships and entanglements, they are built on false foundations. So it doesn't matter what you do. That relationship has got to come down. It does not matter how much you invest. It does not matter you build them a new house. It doesn't matter you buy them 5 cars. It doesn't matter you do. It does not matter what you do with the narcissist. Any kind of relationship with the narcissist, it has got to come down. But normally, you're going to see the signs when everything starts to break down and crumbling down to the floor. That is when you know the tower moment has got to come in. The tower moment is happening. It could be happening in a couple of months. It could be happening in a couple of weeks. But you have to know when you start to get intensive abuse from the narcissist, the evaluation and all the kind of things, you are supposed to know the tower moment is coming in. So the whole foundation is breaking down and is coming down to the ground. It is important for empaths out there to know that the empath, you cannot help this, number one. You cannot stop it, number one, and you cannot help the situation, because it is that program in the narcissist that has reached whereby they are now starting to break down the relationship. You know what I mean? Because they build, or you build with them, and then at the end of the day, they start to break down the whole foundation of the relationship. When that point comes in, guys, I can guarantee you do not fight it. Let me tell you something, chosen ones. I've learned this the hard way, that when you see a lot of things are starting to break down, it is going to be it is usually painful. Like I've told you guys, usually, it is very difficult, guys. It is very difficult to break up with a narcissist. You might break up sometimes, you might walk away, but usually you're going to notice that there's a very, very big fight at the end of those entanglements. As you're walking away from those individuals, they are going to cause a lot of chaos. You have a lot of fights. You have a lot of arguments. Sometimes even I've heard about cases whereby even the law enforcement has had to get involved in that situation because it has gotten so intense, and it's like two people cannot handle each other. When the tower moment is happening, I'll give you one thing what I've done. I'll give you one hint that I've used in my journey and has also helped me along my journey. I'll tell you guys that sometimes you may not see it in the beginning, that actually this tower moment is happening for you. There is something happening behind the scenes. Usually God comes into those relationships because God knows on the very subconscious level, you may not even sometimes notice, but God knows that foundation and entanglement, whatever it is, it has usually been built on a false foundation. So God now is intervening. Your angels, your spirit guides, whatever you can call it, God is now intervening in that relationship, and God wants to break down that relationship. So most of the times, a lot of people, they're feeling bad about themselves. Oh, why is this happening to me? Why is that happening to me? Why all of a sudden everything is not working? Why? It does not matter what you do. Let me tell you something. There is an angelic force behind you that's actually working behind the scenes to bring that foundation down to the ground so that it can break down. You know what I mean? So that now you can be able to move out. Because like I've told you guys, if you've heard me clearly in my videos, I've told you it is not going to be easy to live a narcissist. So it is going to feel as if there is a storm happening in your home, there is a storm happening in your relationship, or sometimes if it's a family, there is a storm happening in your family. You don't know why all of a sudden your parents are treating you in the worst way possible. All your relationships are not working out. Your partners are abusing you in a way you've never seen before. So the tower moment is usually coming in to set you free. So it is that moment whereby the tower moment for you to be able to build something fresh, or to build something meaningful in your life, or to meet sometimes the people meant for you. The people in your position, they are supposed to first of all get out of your life. You know what I mean? So the narcissist, most of the times, what people don't realize when the tower moment is coming in, what people don't realize is that there is something breaking down. Now, God is coming to remove you out of that situationship. It is going to take a little bit of pain. It is going to take a little bit of difficult. You may sometimes suffer. Some of the times, I've had situations whereby individuals have left narcissists. Sometimes they have had to go to temporary shelters, or sometimes very, very far away from their homes. So the tower moment usually comes in to set you free. You're supposed to understand that for anything that is not working out, anything that has been built on a false foundation, for you to be able to get out of it, it has got to first of all come crumbling down to the floor. Now, that's when you're able to get up, go through the work of the healing, which I've also talked about, and I'm still going to make a video about healing. That's when you're going to go and put in the work to heal yourself. Usually, now then you can discover the benefits of living a narcissist. Normally, I can guarantee you guys, the benefits of living a narcissist are infinite. As a person who has been with a narcissist for a couple of years, and then left a narcissist eventually, I've realized that actually there are more benefits that you have never imagined in your entire life of living those kind of toxic individuals. There is so many things that come along with that. You will discover that person you're meant to be. Normally, you will meet the person you're meant to be with. Usually, you will start to build your life in a way that you've never done before, and normally you're building your life again on strong foundations. And a lot of things are going to follow up, because you remember, when the moment happens, when the time moment happens and you break down those entanglements, now all of a sudden you're going to go out there and you start experiencing life in a very different way, a way that you've never seen before. I remember those days when I broke down with the narcissist, when we broke up with the narcissist in those days, in those last days. I remember talking to a friend. So I didn't really know what was going on exactly. I was there feeling sorry for myself, you know, this and that. Oh, why did this happen? Why is this happening? And this and that. So I was there feeling sorry for myself. Now I remember one particular individual told me, hey, listen, Denzo, you may not see it at the moment, but actually, you're going to notice that actually this breakup has actually worked in your favor. So I did not see that in the moment. Normally the tower comes in your favor. It does not necessarily mean you're going to see it in front of you in the beginning, but later on you're going to notice that actually that tower is falling down in your favor. Most of the times, I can guarantee you guys, if you're a strong believer and you know exactly what time it is, you're going to notice at some point in time later on, you become a better version of yourself. You're starting to act out a lot of beautiful individuals. Your life is starting to move to a positive direction. You're starting to experience all these things you've never seen during the relationship with the narcissist. Everything will start opening up to you, and the life on the other side is going to start looking beautiful. It will take a little bit of work. You know what I mean? I've told you guys that usually healing is not really easy when you're healing from the narcissist. So it takes a lot of work to heal from this kind of abuse. But when you get out of that abuse and you start working on yourself, you put in the work to heal. And guys, I can guarantee you, I'm going to make a full video on healing, because I've noticed there's so many people who don't understand what is healing. When I'm talking about healing, they think, oh, you go out there. But it's not the same healing. When you're healing after narcissistic abuse, it's not the same healing where you go to a doctor and then they treat you in some kind of way. Yes, that is the medical part of it, but you may have sometime have to do that if you have been tortured. Like, for example, if you've been going through difficult health conditions, you may also have to go to a doctor to make sure that you get healed. But I'm talking about the emotional healing. Emotional healing is different. You know what I mean? And I'm going to do a whole video on that. You are supposed to put in the work, guys. When the tower is broken, don't fight with the tower. Leave it to fall, because that tower has been built on a false foundation. Let it fall down to the ground, because you are now supposed to start moving towards a completely different direction, a direction that is going to make you discover that person you came here to be. And again, without the narcissist. So, guys, in this video, I wanted to let you guys know in this morning that the tower will fall. That moment will come when the tower will fall. Do not fight it. Don't all of a sudden start cursing God. I've had those things on my videos. Oh, why does God leave us like this? Why does God make us suffer? And all these kind of things. The tower has to fall. People, when God is going to build you something very important in your life and sustainable, when God is going to make you move to the next level and make you build something sustainable, first of all, God is going to make you lose whatever it is you have, so that now you can get out and start building something more meaningful and more sustainable. And eventually, you're going to become a better version of yourself. So it takes patience. It takes patience. It takes knowing that everything is happening for you. It is not happening to you. It is happening for you, okay? So you always have to know that things are going to work out in your favor, all right? So it is patience, it is healing, and it is eventually moving towards a positive direction. So let me know what you think about this, guys, in the comment section below. Leave us a comment, like and share. And eventually, if you need a session with me, book it. I'm going to leave the link in the description below. Until then, it's been a blessing to have you guys on board. Much love and blessings. There's more signing out. Peace.